infinite complacence. People went to and fro over the earth about their little affairs, serene in the assurance of their dominion over this small, spinning fragment of solar driftwood, which by chance or design man has inherited out of the dark mystery of time and space.
On this episode of Into the Fray, I welcome Carly on with me, and she emailed. She said, I've had a very interesting experience that I think you will be interested in, which I am, especially because of the area that Carly is going to be discussing today, and that is 20 miles from the land between the lakes in Kentucky, and y'all know what went down there. Carly, welcome on the show.
Hi, Shannon. I just want to thank you for responding to my email. First of all, I never thought someone would believe me. And I just want to say thank you.
Oh, thank you for reaching out. I mean, forget me. You're the one. You folks being willing to come out and talk is the entire reason that I do this and why I've done it for years now and will continue to as long as I have a voice to speak. So no, thank you. So Carly, let's talk before we get to the experience itself. Of course, I mentioned the importance of where we're talking about, but also you mentioned in your email that prior to this experience, you didn't know the term dogman or werewolf. You didn't know about any of this kind of stuff, at least that specific subject. So let's start there, okay?
No, I hadn't. Now, as a child, I was always into werewolf movies and vampire movies. I've always had a curiosity about things, like other things and bigger than me, and, just the average wonderment, I guess you would say. Then I grew up and never really thought that much about stuff like that anymore. I was too consumed with life. But I want to go back prior to the actual event a little bit, maybe 3 months. I was in a small town, Troy, Tennessee, actually. I was at someone's house, and this gentleman looked at me and he said, "I'm a werewolf." And my eyes kind of panned around the room. I looked at my now ex husband like, I'm fixing to leave. These people are kind of freaking me out. So I did that. A little bit later on, I had a talk with the ex husband and I said, "Did you hear him?" And he was like, "Yeah." He said, "You don't know what that means?" And I said, "No." He said, "Like other kin." And I said, "What's other kin? What are you talking about?" He said, "Fairies, imps, and werewolves." And I said, "Wow." So, me being the curious type person that I am, that started my research. And I Googled the term other kin and, just trying to teach myself and be open minded as to things I was not knowledgeable of. So my ex-husband thought that was funny that I was trying to learn about this. He thought it was humorous. And he said, "Well, when you learn what that black splatter pattern is, let me know." I said, "What black splatter pattern?" He said, "Come here, I'll show you." So we go outside, and on the side of this individual's house that I was at, there was like a huge, like someone had just thrown black paint on the side of the house. That, of course, intrigued me. Okay, so now let's fast forward to February of 2023. That was in what I just told you was in November of 2022, I believe. And yeah, 22. That's correct. So me and the husband decided to part ways. I was kind of, just kind of down, So, ex friend of my mom is no longer with me. She said, "Come and stay." She said, "I live in the country. It's a large house." She said, "I'm here alone." And she said it would, give me company. And I said, "Where do you live?" And she said, "Puryear, Tennessee." I said, "Oh, wow." I said, "I grew up there. I went to school there in Henry County, Tennessee, which is Paris. And Paris connects to Aurora, Kentucky via what we call the Trace. The Trace is like a protected, sacred strip of land that is still very much cultured in the Native American beliefs and philosophy. There's still some old buildings. I love to go to Trace. There's still some old foundations and like stoves that they used to cook on and animals, and it is protected federally. You can't so much as litter. You can't take firearms there. It's highly prohibited. So Puryear and the Trace area, Paris, all of that is about 20 miles, 25 at the most in distance to each other. And she was not lying. I actually called a communications company, I won't say their name, to get internet after I went to stay with her. And it was so rural that that was not a possibility. There was no internet available where she was at. She was the only house on this road, nothing but woods, nothing but woods, peaceful, quiet. She lived on a accessory road off of what we call State Line Road, meaning it connects Kentucky and Tennessee. So I got a job. Well, no, let me stop. Let me back up a little bit. Staying with her was kind of different, and I had never experienced this type of personality. And I really didn't know her, but I knew that my mom knew her. And so I trusted her to the extent that I can, because I really don't trust people, especially in this area. But anyways, all of the windows of the house were nailed shut from the inside. I thought that was weird. All of the doorknobs, except for the main one, have been removed from the inside. First thing pops in my head is, what if there were a fire? How would I get out of this place? And why? You know, she had dream catchers up everywhere. She is of Native American descent. And there was one room of this farmhouse. She told me to stay out of there. There was nothing in there but junk. And she didn't want me to get hurt. So I've always trusted my intuition. If I get a gut feeling, there's usually a reason for that. So I called the then estranged husband because he's really on point with his intuitive abilities. He's very smart, knows a little bit about everything. And he was the one that taught me about other kin in the first place. So I called him and I said, "Look, will you come up here and stay with me for a week?" I said, "You're much better at this stuff than I am." And I said, "I've just got a really strange feeling." And he said, "Sure." So I went to Union City, Tennessee, where he was at, where we're kind of natives of. And I picked him up and I brought him back to the house. And the first thing when he got out of the vehicle, he said, "Oh," and an explicitive. I said, "What?" He said, "Look at that black splatter." And I said, "Oh, wow." And there was a black, like a splatter on the side of her house that was black. I said, "Now that's freaky." So we talk, just like pillow talk, like, wonder what's up with all the windows being nailed shut. And after we got there, she kind of left every night. And I was thinking, well, why did she ask me to come out here and stay with her if she wasn't going to be here? And, she told me she was lonely, needed the company. So I don't know. I just felt that it was strange. So I got a job in Murray, Kentucky, which is not too far from LBL itself. And I worked the night shift. And from her house location, and this is in February of that year, and it snowed really, really bad with ice on top of it. We hadn't had one like that in a while. And the easiest route of transportation to get to my job was a back road, which is kind of infamous itself because it was directly related to Murray's vampire cult killers. And if you don't know about that, and I'm sure you do, look into it because it has a significance with LBL itself. So I worked that second shift and I got off work at 11 o'clock. Take me approximately 15 minutes to get to her house. And so now by this time, it was actually, I believe it was, my shift was Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. And I don't remember which day, but I'm thinking it was Tuesday night. And that would have been Valentine's night. I'm almost certain it was. I pull into the driveway about 11:20ish, and I'm sitting there and smoking and just trying to wind down before I go into the house. And so I open my car door and I get out, and the first thing I noticed was like a rancid smell. And I thought, ooh, something's dead. Because it's country, that. And I shut my car door, and in the corner of my eye, I seen something red, which I thought was my alarm on the dash of my car, my little red light. But then it hit me that I hadn't beeped my fob yet. And so that's what initially drew my attention to the red that I saw. So I stopped dead still and I turned facing the woods. And I saw a werewolf. And I thought, am I really seeing this? But let me tell you, I've never been so still. My vision has never been so clear. I have never been so certain of anything in my life. There was this big animal looking. When I say big, I mean between 7 and 8 feet tall, with high, tall, pointed ears, red eyes, massive chest, like a football linebacker, just massive. And I could almost tell you that its hair was coarse. That would be how I would describe it, like my grandmother's hair. It was very coarse, meaning kind of rough. And if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not certain about this, I believe it had on pants. We made direct eye contact for at least 60 seconds. And I did not blink. I did not move. I did not shudder. I just stood there and looked at a werewolf. And then all of a sudden, this sound like trees were being knocked over, like a loud brushing, but yet a thud. in the woods, and it was gone. And I stood there for a minute, and then I exhaled my breath, and then I realized I had been holding my breath the whole time. So I went into the house. My husband and the homeowner was there. I said, y'all, I just seen a explicit werewolf. They both giggled and laughed at me. And I said, no, for real, for real. I just saw a werewolf. And they giggled. Well, you need to lay down. And, they were joking with me. Carly, what kind of drugs you been taking? And I was like, for real, y'all. So then I ran back to the utility room to the outside door. And my dog, Remy, who is a blue pit, he follows me everywhere. He's standing right here now. He followed me to the door, and the hair stood up on the back of the hair on my dog. Let me know that I needed to shut that door. So I shut that door, and I locked it, and I said, screw you guys. I'm laying down. And I covered my head up, just like I did when I was a kid, because then I could feel the emotion behind it. I try to listen to my dog too, because they see and hear things that I may not be aware of. It freaked my dog out. My dog didn't even want to go potty for like a day and a half. He just held it and held it and held it. And I laid there and I kind of shivered. I said, boy, I'm thankful for them windows being nailed shut. So then I get my own apartment in March of 2023. And I became really superstitious there for a minute. I mean, I was putting horseshoes on my door, and I thought it really troubled me. And I'm the type person, if I'm stressed or bothered, I'm going to talk to someone about it. That was in March of 2023. It's now October 2024. Everybody I have told thinks I'm crazy. They think I imagined it, that I'm lying. And these are people that know me. They know I'm not like that I don't just do that. So I'm really big into documentaries, the paranormal, serial killers. That must be the Gemini in me. So I start researching, and I found a documentary on Tubi called the Dogman Theory, and it was showing a big wolf-like creature. And I said, I bet that'd be good. And that's where I first heard. Now, this was 2 months ago. I just now heard the term Dogman, just recently, basically a month before I reached out to you, Shannon. I thought, what's a Dogman? And so I watched that documentary, and it was different interviews of LBL, retired, guess you would call them park rangers, who were vowed to silence until they retired, about the things that went on in LBL. And since that initial documentary, I mean, I can only soak up so much more and so much more and so much more. I've studied psychology my entire life. I have a master's degree. I had studied like missing people, disappearances, things like that. And I was actually on a social media platform, and my son tagged me in a post because he knows me, first of all, and how my brain works. And it was another podcast, and they wanted to talk to me about almost famous in our area, missing child from 1985. Her name was Marlena Childress from Union City, Tennessee. And I had a little bit of information that we could discuss, so I reached out to her. And she told me also that she was doing another episode about two missing sisters that they never found in LBL. And so I laid here and I thought and I thought and I thought, and I thought, well, I wonder if there's a connection between all the missing people in Henry County, Tennessee, or Callaway, Marshall County, Kentucky. I just, just curious. And I kind of chuckled and I said, well, what if the dog man ate them? And I thought, whoa, what if the dog man ate them? And to this day, I mean, we have air quote murders, suspicious, quite a lot for a small rural area if you get to looking into it. And I kind of spooked myself and I thought, whoa, you're getting too deep. You might need to back away for a minute. And, for example, young person murdered in their home and their vehicle abandoned on the Trace Highway. But yet no fingerprints or anything was discovered, or, just weird stuff like that. But I was so relieved, Shannon, to know and now I absolutely know for certain that I saw a werewolf / dogman, crypt, something not of this realm that was absolutely, if I'd allowed myself at the moment to be terrifying, that I knew without a doubt could rip me to shreds here in my back door. Then I came to the conclusion I don't care if other people think I'm weird, eccentric, crazy, lying, because I know what I saw. And I'm so glad that I don't even know how I found you, actually. I've forgot, I do so much research. But I'm so glad I found you because without a doubt, I feel that you believe me and that you know they're real. And now, if we can just work together to figure out if there's a connection between all the disappearances here, wouldn't that be cool? That's my story. And I want to thank you, Shannon, for the opportunity to tell you my story. And there really has to be a connection in that black splatter. I don't know what that is, but it has to be a connection.
Well, Carly, that was going to be one of my questions. And I do have a few questions if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
First of all, thank you for sharing that. Of course, I believe you. And not only that, when we get off our call today, I'm going to send you a specific episode of my show that I recently brought up on Aaron and I from the documentary. We did a talk on Ryan Sprague's Anomicon. And for Anomicon, we talked about Dogman, of course, because we want to let everybody know about our documentary. So episode, I've got the note pulled up, 290 of my show. This was prior to doing any of these documentaries. A woman,
episode 290.
290, yeah, yes, ma'am. And it's titled "Werewolf in Codman Square." And she saw, and this is Boston area. This is not even in the middle of the woods. She saw what she said was the best she could term it was a werewolf. That's what her brain said. It was wearing a shirt. She doesn't remember the color or the cut or any. She's like, that is a damn werewolf in a shirt. What the hell is this? Right. So, okay. So I just wanted to get that out right out of the gate because you said yours may have been wearing
pants on.
Pants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember the actual documentary, but it occurred in Ohio. And I remember a specific quote. I'll have to go back through my watch history. But I remember a specific quote. It said, this didn't start until those folks from Kentucky migrated. Yeah. It may have been something on the top 10 monsters or something. And maybe it was the Mothman from maybe. I'm not sure. But anyways, I remember that quote specifically. He said, this did not start until those folks from Kentucky migrated here. And I thought, Because to me, a werewolf would be a hybrid. And if you go back to some historical cultural beliefs, some say that that area up there is cursed because of a past history on Native American land up there. And,
Mm-hmm.
that'll even go as far back to skinwalkers, if you can trace it back that far. I certainly believe there's a connection.
So, Carly, the splatter. And this is going to be a tough
Yes.
question. And don't worry, any of these questions, if you don't know, or I mean, most of them you're not going to know because we just don't know, right? Like that's the whole
Right.
point of this whole thing. We just don't know. But
Right.
specific questions that you do remember, I'm just trying to jog your memory about things. So, the splatters on each of these houses. Now, this is kind of a random question, but maybe it'll be something. Is there any way in your mind that the splatters were exactly the same somehow?
Yes, absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. They look like what is that? I went blank. The ink blotter test.
The Rorschach, yeah.
Yes. Yes,
But
like that.
but what I'm saying is they were patterned the same? Like they were exactly the same?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, that's the reason the ex-husband, Brandon, said, "Oh," when he got out the car. That was his word. That's what he said. And I said, "What?" He said, "Look." And I'm a visual person. I have been my whole life. I may not remember your name, but I will remember your face. Name I hear, the face I see. And if you will remember this morning when we were emailing, I said, I do better if I can see you. I'm a visual person. I know that it was absolutely the same. There is a connection.
That is so interesting. Okay,
But
so
that may be for a different time because I've actually been researching that. That's what I've been researching lately this week. Like spiritual meanings behind the color black and ink splatters and a splatter or splatter, TT or DD, because they're two separate things. I didn't know that. And I forgot to tell you, when right before the dude said, I'm a werewolf in Troy, there was also a female there. And I really don't know what this was, but it looked like a seizure without the convulsing. Her eyes rolled back in her head, and it was like she left, but her body stayed there. Was that a OBE? I don't know. I don't know. And then I looked at him to see if anyone else saw this but me. And he said, I'm a werewolf. Boop, it was time to go. Yeah, I bounced real quick at that point because I just seen this lady, her eyes roll back in her freaking head. And then him say he was a werewolf. And then I leave and go next door. And then my husband's telling me about this black splatter. And I'm like, this is too much, y'all. But me being the curious personality I am, I couldn't let it go. And I've learned so much from November of 2022 to current present day that it's just unbelievable. I thought I was absolutely alone and that nobody believed me, but I'm not. This is a thing.
so obviously the thought is, I mean, my brain goes to this dude and his girlfriend obviously have some really weird going on, right?
Right.
And I've heard other cases, by the way, where someone just blatantly says, "Oh yeah, I can shapeshift. I'm cool." Like watch or
Yeah,
show
I've never heard
people
that.
or show
Yeah.
people that they can do that. But here's my thinking, because obviously everyone else is thinking the same thing. The splatters on the houses are obviously markers. Who knows if they put them there themselves or whoever allowed them to have these gifts put them there. It's obviously some sort of a marker, much like a Bigfoot might make a tree X or something. The splatters being exactly the same is fascinating. So, all right, here we go. More questions.
Okay.
The doorknobs off were all from inside the house. There was no...
Yes, the inside knobs
Only
were not
inside.
there.
And
Yes,
then you've got...
except for the one exit, the main exit.
The main exit had both knobs.
No, yeah. It had both knobs. And I did go in the bedroom. She told me not to because I'm nosy like that.
What's in there?
A lot of furniture and a lot of mirrors covered.
Oh,
I don't know what that means either. I haven't looked into that at all. And it was really, really cold in there.
It was how many mirrors?
I didn't count them. It freaked me out. I ain't gonna lie.
I mean, but it was essentially a room
maybe
of mirrors.
8. Maybe. Oh shit! What if it was 7?
If you,
I spooked myself for a minute. Okay, I'm ready.
I mean, could be, yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's all tied in somehow. But okay, so if you're in the middle of the room, and you do a full turn, is there a mirror essentially on every wall?
They weren't on the wall. They were like sitting at the baseboards. All of them.
Just they're propped up.
Yeah, they were propped up.
But they were on it. But they were on every wall essentially.
Yeah. What does that mean? Well, see, I hadn't thought of that.
There's a thing called a psychomantium. If you look it up, that people, it goes off like mirror scrying and looking into mirrors. And like anybody can build a psychomantium. You go, it's supposed to be a smaller room, completely pitch black. And
yes,
and I don't even think you need it around you. I think you just
need
one.
So much furniture in it for it to be it was the smallest room of the house.
I mean, if she's powerful enough, maybe she doesn't need a small room. But I think that the psychomantium, you need at least one mirror in front of you and one mirror behind you. And supposedly you can essentially, it's like a traveling thing, like like a communication thing.
I was with my ex-husband for 12 years, okay? I knew this man. And something happened in Union City, Tennessee. Prior to all of this I've told you. And he became different. That's all I'm going to say on that subject, is different. I mean, I have a picture where he has black eyes, but he was so much smarter than he originally was. That's the reason I asked him about that's the reason for that, because he was different. And I said, what happened to you? And he said, I got trapped between 2 mirrors, and he saw who he really was.
Oh, goodness.
That's exactly what he said. I've got goosebumps. Woo! Thank you.
Well, that's an interesting tie-in, isn't it?
Yeah. And I never knew that till right now I've never heard that term. I need to write that down. Psycho what?
Psychomantium. Yeah. Psycho and then MANTEUM. Okay, so that's interesting. Okay, so
and we can correspond in private. I can send you that picture.
I would definitely like to see that. That is terrifying, though.
And we were divorced simply because of how different he became.
No kidding.
Absolutely. Because I trust my gut. My gut's not going to lie to me and say, "Hey, that is not your husband."
Did he willingly go and do some kind of a ritual that you're not aware of? Is that what your thought is?
He's told me to be when he and I were talking, and he told me, just be careful what you research. And I said, what do you mean? He said, because you may get into something that you don't realize you're doing. He said that his started, what did he say? He said his started, oh gosh, I wish I could remember, with seeing all sides of the triangle. It was something related to a triangle. And I said, well, that's cool. So then I went off on that, and I learned the term anecdote. I believe is how you pronounce it, which is exactly the opposite side of the world from where you are currently. So when we were in Troy, Tennessee, and he said something about a triangle, I got to thinking pyramids, yada, yada. And the anecdote of Memphis, Tennessee is Memphis, Egypt. They have pyramids. Memphis has a pyramid. And I said, that is so cool. And then I seen a documentary on that. And I was like, wow, I thought I was having downloads or something. But he told me that if, I wasn't careful, that I could learn wrong information. And I said, like, what? And I said, first time I ever heard the name Aleister Crowley, other than the Ozzy song, Mr. Crowley. So, yes, I know who Aleister Crowley is, but I don't go investigating stuff like that because I believed him. I believe he did something he wasn't supposed to do.
Is he Native American?
No, no.
Hmm.
And I wish that he and I were friends or something because he's got an amazing story where something spoke to him and said, I'm going to get you out of this situation, but you got to do this. And I remember one night, and this is after whatever happened to him with the mirrors, we were sitting on the bed together. He looked at me and he said, come with me, and held his hands out. And I said, no, sir, demon. I said, I'm not going nowhere with you. It freaked me out because it did not look like him, the look I was getting. And I assumed if I touched his hands, that he would have took me somewhere not of this earth or yeah. But yes, we divorced because of that. He got to where he was freaking me out.
Carly, though, the woman, the owner of the house, now she is Native American. She has the doorknobs off from inside the
Yes.
house and the windows nailed shut. Now, to me,
Yes.
I'm going, well, you're not keeping stuff out, you're keeping something in. So is your thinking that, I mean, even though she and your ex-husband chuckled at you when you came and said there's a effing werewolf outside, do you think that she was shifting as well? Like she was part of this whole thing? She had the splatter on the house, just like the
I
dude that
did.
said he could
I
shift.
thought she was a part of something, but see, I hadn't seen the werewolf yet. Or I would not have called him there. I got a gut feeling about something. I didn't know what, but something was off. And I called him there because he was better at it than I was. I needed a place to stay.
But do you think now that she, looking back, do you think that she was capable of doing that, and
Well,
that's why the
until
house
you
was like
said
that?
that, I hadn't thought of it. Yeah, yeah. Native Americans, yeah, they're very powerful. Yeah, she could have been. Yeah, she could have been. I mean, I just had a weird thought. We'll talk about that later, though. Oh,
Yeah, I don't want you to share anything that you're not
yeah,
comfortable with. That's totally up to you.
yeah,
Absolutely. So when
yeah, yeah.
when you're seeing this creature, this thing, or this person, maybe it's a person, it's wearing freaking pants. Did it
Yeah.
so you're watching it, right? And you're watching it for 60 seconds, you say. When
Yeah.
you were talking about the fact that at some point this crashing begins in the woods, was that after it left or while you still had eyes on it?
After.
After. Okay.
That was the sound of it running away
Okay.
through the woods, and
Okay.
it was brushing tree leaves and maybe even knocking them down. I couldn't
Right.
detect that and super fast, super fast. Whatever it was like just going through the jungle, the woods.
All right. Because my brain was like, oh, you don't hear much or very often that these things
And
are
that
hanging out
smell,
together, but
that smell was like vile, like like something dead. And then my dog acting that way. My dog definitely felt a threat. If he won't go potty, and he didn't potty in the house either. He held that stuff for like a day and a half.
when you were standing there with it for 60 seconds, how scared were you? How threatened did you
I was
feel?
not scared at all. I was
Really?
not scared at all. I could not be scared, or it would have got me. I matched its energy. We stood and we looked at one another. It let me know what it could do, and I let it know what I wasn't going to do, and that was show fear.
That's awesome. You did the come at me, bro. And it said,
Yeah, come
I'm
at me.
not going to mess with Carly
Yes.
today. That's awesome.
Yes.
How far away from it were you, if you could guess?
I would say 100 yards. 300 feet. Yeah. Yeah.
So you moved out that very next month. Is that correct?
No, I moved out that week.
Oh, you moved out that week.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't there long at all. Like,
I mean, because of that, right? I mean, you got
because of everything.
You got the windows and the doors and the freaky room
everything.
upstairs with the covered mirrors, and I mean,
yeah, everything.
How big were the mirrors, Carly?
Different sizes, ranging from large to small.
And every single one, when you went in that room, was covered up.
Yeah, I didn't know what they were originally until I looked. I mean, I could see the furniture. There was like 3 bed sets, like the rails, the box springs, the mattresses, the headboards. All the mattresses were stacked up on top of each other, and then all this stuff with like sheets was around the room. And I said, "What are these?" And some of them were gorgeous, like antiques. In this area, this road connects to Hazel, Kentucky, which is known for its antiques. I mean, there's like this town's not 200 people, but there's like 7 antique stores. So in my mind, I thought, she's into antiques. But I thought, why wouldn't she have them out to show them all? Because some of them were beautiful.
Was the furniture covered with sheets?
No.
And of course, devil's advocate, as you just rightfully pointed out, is where I'm going. Is if these were beautiful antiques, people cover stuff to keep the dust off and whatever else. So, devil's advocate is she was just trying to keep them cleaner, but along with all these other things, I don't think that that's the reason that they were covered. So
no, because this room wasn't clean. Yeah.
No. Between that and who the hell takes doorknobs off and nails windows shut? Because let's face it, if you're aware, right? Because she lived there.
And then I've seen her landlord. I forgot to tell you that. I met the landlord. And I don't know if you're familiar with old movies, but one of my favorite movies is Once Bitten with Vincent Price.
Mm-hmm.
It's about a vampire, and it's got Roddy McDowall in it. And the landlord looked like Roddy McDowall, which was the head vampire. So that freaked me out even more. I had to go that week. Yeah. I saw he looked like him. And I thought, whoa, we got a werewolf and a vampire. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, yeah, I left.
Yeah, and according to...
I have not spoke to her since. I blocked her on every platform I know to block. I don't care if she's my mama's friend. I'm staying away from her. Now, had she communicated with me, because I kept asking her questions. I was like, what's up with, what's up? And then it was like, when I started asking the questions, her whole personality changed. Like she wasn't friendly anymore. And her boyfriend was going to come back. So I was going to have to move. But I was going to pay this and this rent before I left. And she was going to hold my furniture hostage. Oh. And I thought, that's how you get all that furniture. But yeah.
Meeting her boyfriend, I think, would not be on my list of things that I would want to do, considering what you've already seen at this point, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Carly,
but, I've got a very strong personality. You gonna hold what? No, you're not holding my furniture. So, people like to run their mouth, talk a little smack. So I took my happy butt down there and started loading up my furniture.
Okay, so but why did she?
She wasn't there then. This was during the daytime, though. Keep that in mind. She wasn't there after she'd run her mouth how she's gonna whip me and hold my furniture hostage. I went to get it. Well, let's get it on, girl. Let's kick rocks.
But why?
She wasn't there.
Why was she trying to keep you there? Did you sign a lease, and you were trying to get out? So then why was she doing all this to try to keep you there so fervently?
I don't know.
And why?
No, she wanted me to go at this time. No, she wanted me to go. She just wanted to keep my furniture there.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Real nice.
She said, She said her boyfriend was coming back and I was going to have to leave. And I had to pay her the money I owed her or she was going to keep my furniture. And we hadn't even discussed any money owed. I hadn't been there but 2 weeks. 3.
Oh my gracious. Okay, so looking back, and again, this is a question that you may not know the answer to. Why do you really think in your heart of hearts that she wanted you to come out there in the first place? To maybe get some extra furniture? I mean, is it that simple,
No,
or is there other
no,
things?
no. She wanted me to come. I don't know. After experiencing what I experienced, I think she was trying to suck me in like he was. I absolutely, with no uncertainty, believe that we are not alone in this big, vast world. And all my life, I've told everybody I know, and you could pick a friend and ask them, what's my famous mantra saying? I'm not afraid of the dark, just what's in the dark.
Did your mom ever have any strange stories about her, or tell you to watch out for her?
No, no. But I mean, mom's gone now. They were friends from prison. That's how they met. And they thought that that was a connection, being that my mom used to live and work in Puryear, Tennessee, and she was from Puryear. They knew each other from back in their day. Then they reconnected in prison. And I'll just go ahead and say it. When my husband and I split, I was in Paducah, Kentucky in a domestic violence shelter. And I had made a post on the social media platform, and she messaged me on Messenger and said, I couldn't live with myself. And I know your mom would be so disappointed in me. She had to throw the mom card in there because I love my mama. And you come stay with me. I cannot have you in a shelter. So I thought she was being a good friend to my mom
Gotcha.
and doing the right thing.
Right.
Now it's a little bit clearer, isn't it? I had to
Yeah. No,
fill in the
thank you
truth
for
for
sharing that.
everybody.
I'm sorry. I wasn't trying
Yeah.
to pry too much on that.
Well, I mean, no, but I mean, I'm just an open book about everything. I don't mind. Some of your listeners may think, but it's the truth. So,
Carly, here's the other thing my brain is saying now, too, because of the doorknobs, the weird room with the mirrors in it upstairs, the windows.
yes, ma'am.
Here's my
No, it
brain.
was downstairs. It was the other room was downstairs.
Okay. So you hadn't yet met the boyfriend. And to me, again, and I'll say this again, and I'm not trying to be super dramatic or anything, but this is where I don't know where else to take this. It just seemed like she was trying to keep someone, or once it turned into something, in. What if that was the boyfriend that you
want to
saw?
know my thought? You want to know my thought for real? For real?
Yeah.
Energy vampires. Getting fresh meat in there because that's what they thrive off of, is the fear. That's how they live. To suck me dry.
So maybe just trying to keep their victims in, the people in.
Yes, their food. Yeah.
Does she have a basement in that house? I hope you didn't go down there. The
Girl,
attic.
no, I don't know. No, I didn't go down there. Absolutely not. But I don't even know. But I did find something weird. He and I, my husband at the time, came in one day and you could see a fire smoldering out in the yard, and she wasn't there as usual. And so he told me that someone was burning copper. And I said, well, isn't that illegal? And I said, why would she be burning copper? And where'd she get it from? And so my ex-husband was a Gemini too. So we're both naturally nosy and curious. But we done a little snooping around and found some old internet wiring that had been dug up around the back of the house. And I think that's what they were burning, or I don't know because I didn't see the fire start, but I thought that was weird.
Yeah,
I
why are they
thought, why
doing
would
that?
I thought, why would that communications company tell me we can't get internet out here if this is proof
Somebody
that there's
laid
been
it.
internet?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was strange too. There was just a lot of strange stuff that was going on, and I first heard a term. She said a term that I'd never heard before, and I know a little bit more about it now. Kitchen witch. And she wanted to put salt on everything. And I'm like, I got high blood pressure, dude. I can't be having all that salt. And then as I looked into it, the belief is they do things with spices. So that was
Now,
interesting to delve into.
Are kitchen witches supposed to be of the light sort or the dark sort, or both?
Well, it kind of depends, and I relate that back to the ex. To me, there's a light and dark of everything. There is no good or bad, but light and dark. If you take it to the wrong side, like the ex-husband said, the occult, demonology, whatever label you want to stick on it, or Wiccan of the earth, everything has a shadow, Shannon. Even I do, you know? And specifically in counseling, which is what my degree is in, if you're working with a client who has PTSD, it's always effective to do cognitive behavioral therapy and help the client to explore their shadow side. And a lot of people say, huh? What's your shadow side? That's stuff that lies in our subconscious that we're not even aware that we do or have. It's our other side, our other half, the one that only comes out at night.
I mean, did you ever ask her straight out what's up with the doorknobs and the nails in the windows?
Yeah.
What did she say?
She said, I don't know. It's like that when I moved in. I said, how long have you lived here again?
How long had she lived there?
A year and a half.
And she left it like that? That's a little suspect. I mean, that could be true. But, I mean, who in the world would leave it like that and think that's okay, or not think what the hell's going on around here that I have
I do suspect some, well, I'll just say it, some substance abuse issues that was going on, because she told me the rent that she paid $400 a month rent, and I said, oh hell no. And you're heating with electric heaters and kerosene heaters, and no, and no internet available. Ain't no way I would pay that. But then when the landlord came out, I mean, I'm very aware of my surroundings at all times. I noticed a transaction going on when I was on my way out the door. Nice meeting you. See you later. Bye. Kind of deal. So, there was something to do with some drugs, but I don't know. I mean, yes, there are drugs out there that make you hallucinate, but I wasn't doing any, and I don't feel that she was doing any. I think she was doing drugs to keep her awake. I really do, because it appeared to me she never slept.
Well, with that shit outside, I guess who could blame her, right? If she didn't have anything to do with that, I mean...
Well, I was thinking more immortal, but yeah, she didn't sleep much.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
You got the real life Salem's Lot going on out there.
I think of a lot. I just think of a lot because I'm always wanting to know why and what's the connection to everything. And then I got to think of, well, what are nails made of? Are they silver?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So she's renting. She's got a landlord. She's only been there.
That's what she said.
Yeah, if she's only there a year and a half, that means other people lived there before her. It's just one of those things where now I realize different parts of the country are just different. I've visited many places that are just very different. That's how it is. Most places, if the landlord comes in after this family or person moves out and there's no doorknobs and nails are shoved into
they fix it.
They fix it before the next person. So it's just your brain just can go in so many different directions.
This house hadn't been fixed with nothing.
Or did she do that? I mean, we don't know. Who did it. So
the house was very old.
I mean, was there anything else weird about the house?
The old-timey wooden windows, the heavy paned windows. That's what they were.
I mean, because let's face it, Carly, what you saw outside that night could easily break a window. Like nailing a window shut is not going to do anything if it really wanted to get in. You know what I mean? It could break a door down or go through the glass. It almost seems like a more damn near ritualistic thing than just an actual logistical, your mind is going, well, there's an 8-foot tall goddamn werewolf outside. Do you really think this is going to help? No, probably not. But if we go the more vampire route in lore, they have to be invited in, right? I mean, I'm just
Yes,
my brain's just going
absolutely,
100 miles an
absolutely.
hour. But
Okay, with that being said, it's funny that you should say the previous comment more along the lines of keep something in, and then I had mentioned that when I left her house and got my apartment in March, the very next month, my ex-husband was putting horseshoes over the doorway, and after we split up, I didn't think nothing about it, and I just left the daggum horseshoe there, and a friend of mine was over visiting, and I said, "You," because he was looking at the horseshoe, and I said, "You see my horseshoe hanging up there?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "That's to keep bad spirits out." He said, "What about the ones that are already inside?" Girl, I had a broomstick knocking that horseshoe down because it was not positioned correctly. As I've learned later on, it's supposed to be positioned upside down to, be open, but it wasn't.
mm.
It was positioned down, and my ex husband had positioned it down. And in our further conversations, because I'm sure we will have them now, the ex husband, it's absolutely like, I don't know who that person is. He doesn't speak like, he doesn't talk like, he doesn't think like the man that I knew for 12 years. Absolutely not. And put put me in the domestic violence shelter was he hit me. I mean, he walked into my bedroom, looked me dead in the eyes with black eyes and said, "I'm going to hit you in the face." Boom. He had never laid his hands on me before. I had never seen anything, that type of behavior from him before. But being that I'm a survivor from a long time ago, at that moment, I'm not going to do this again. Absolutely not. I will not repeat this. And so I went to the hospital and he went to jail and I divorced him while he was in jail.
God, Carly, I'm so sorry. You're a strong lady, kicking ass
I
and
absolutely
taking
am.
names.
I'm very resilient. That's the one word that people will use. Yeah. But, when I say that I'm curious about this, I have been my whole life. I was an only child, dysfunctional family, no one to talk to. And I used to have imaginary friends. And, even my family and stuff would say, "Who is she talking to?" I used to talk to things all the time. And I've always believed with an open mind that anything is possible. Anything is possible if you believe, and that what they teach us faith is. So,
Carly, I have a question for you.
yes, ma'am.
And wouldn't have to be something that I would share publicly. This, as you say, well, you and I will be continuing the conversation, obviously, now that we're in contact. But
Okay.
could you replicate that splatter pattern in any way, shape, or form in a drawing?
No, probably not because I can't draw stick people.
I hear you. I'm the
That,
same way.
yeah.
Just a question. No
Now,
big deal.
I could probably describe it to someone else to draw.
You want? Yeah, go ahead if you wouldn't mind.
That's can you draw?
I'm not going to draw it, but if one of the listeners, when they happen across
Okay.
this, wants to try it,
Okay.
yeah, go ahead. If you're
I
okay
would
with it.
say that the pattern was probably 7 feet in. I guess you would call that diameter. I'm not good with math. That's the only thing I suck at. Probably seven. Oh, seven. Probably 7 feet in width, and then probably had 7 individual patterns around the biggest one in the middle. If if that makes sense, I get frustrated when I can't describe something.
So like 7 like quote unquote droplets coming away from the main body of
Yes,
the main
yes,
splatter.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Like a hot, like what's it called, a hexagon, like a honeycomb.
Mm-hmm.
Where it spreads out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Are there any separate quote unquote splatters separate from the main body that you notice?
Yes, they all were. They all were. All of them were like around it or protecting it or both. Why did I use that word? Yeah. Uh, okay. Yeah, they were all around it. Yeah.
But
Kind
I
of
mean,
like
it was,
a constellation, a shadow constellation.
but it was all
If
connected, is what I'm saying. There
no,
was
no,
nothing separate. Okay.
no, they were separate. You
Okay.
had the one in the middle, and then you would have maybe five around it that were not connected to it,
Oh.
that were smaller,
Hmm.
and it was like each one of them was a different size, maybe a gradual bit smaller than the other.
That makes it even stranger to me that those two
Yeah.
splatters on two
Uh-huh.
separate houses were exactly the same. So
Yeah.
if
And
that's
both of the houses were white aluminum siding.
really,
That's how I remember it so well, because it was like a backdrop. The white accentuated the black.
God, I would love to see a picture of the
We can
splatters.
go to Troy, girl. I ain't scared. We can go to Puryear. I'm not scared. We can go. Yes, absolutely, we can.
I mean, there's just no way it's not connected. So I
There's
mean,
no way. And if you study things like me, I mean, I've read the Emerald Tablets. I get into stuff like that. Seven's important too. There's only four things that I'm certain of in life. That is, everything is energy, vibrations, frequency, and numbers are real. Those things I'm certain of.
Carly, when we first kind of began, your ex-husband was saying, "I'm just gonna." He was saying,
Oh, he folded a pyramid. That's what it was. It was on a paper, like the old school little "Do you like me's," and you open it up. You know what I'm talking about? Like made
"Mm-hmm."
of paper. Yeah, like kids used to do in school, and that's what it was. He unfolded a pyramid or something. That's yeah. But go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that's okay. No, that's why it's good because once we talk, stuff starts to come out. Memories get jogged.
Yeah,
So,
because I don't know the significance of it all yet.
well, and the good thing is, once this comes out, other people might have a similar
Yeah,
experience, and they'll reach out, and
absolutely,
then I can let you know about
absolutely.
that. Okay, so
Yeah.
your ex-husband was saying other kin, like KIN, other
Yes, ma'am.
kin.
Yes.
Interesting. Oh gosh.
Have you never heard that term?
I feel like I have a long time ago, but I
Just
haven't heard
wait.
that in
Just
ages.
wait. Yeah, because I know you're going to look into it. But remember the Billy Goat's Gruff.
Uh-huh.
That's important for your research, because that goes back to fables,
Right.
which are legends. But yeah, it talks about fairies and imps and gnomes, and
Mm-hmm.
those are other kin.
Well, it's all connected, so that's all.
Oh,
That's
yeah. And
all I know for
supposedly,
sure at this point.
they're I don't talk religion or politics, but supposedly they're the children of the underworld. Yeah.
Could be. Who knows?
Lilith's children, or, if you believe in stuff like that. I believe anything's possible.
So you have blocked the owner of that house from anything and everything, and if she found
Absolutely.
you would not be a happy camper. You don't ever want to see
No.
her again.
No. No, I'm good with all that. Yeah.
I mean, which is, in hindsight, kind of crazy because she was your mother's friend, and I'm sure your mom wouldn't be too happy with all this that has gone on.
No,
how
I'm sure
she
she wouldn't,
treated you.
because my mama was a firecracker. I'm sure she wouldn't.
It's
But
just,
I think if my mother was alive, she would have never messaged me.
yeah. So that's
I absolutely believe there was a motive
mm-hmm.
to get me there. I don't think it was because I was in a shelter, because truth be told, I had been homeless for 2 years prior to that.
Oh, well,
Staying here and
see,
staying there and staying there, and people on the social media knew it. I had asked everybody I knew if me, my dog, and my husband could come and stay until I could get up on my feet. And, when I was in Troy, I stayed with my son, and he's absolutely a non-believer. He's stuffy. But he's a rape counselor at a maximum security prison in our area. And of course, he did not want to hear any of this. And my daughter, God bless her, she's a nurse. Mom, do we need to get you evaluated? No, I'm good. But if you step out of other people's comfort zone, then they want to label you as crazy or whatever. My kids absolutely think I'm crazy.
That's right.
But
Join the club. We're all in that. Those are the normies, and we're the freak flag flying weirdos over here, and that's okay. We like this
I
side.
absolutely believe that there's even a connection with the Memphis. I mean, opposite sides of the world named Memphis, and they both have pyramids. And if you go back to historical teachings of that, them Egyptians were smart. How'd they get them pyramids there? Stuff like that.
Well, there was certainly a different reason that it was not out of the kindness of her heart. So whatever.
No, I think she wanted me to be her next victim or his next victim. Yeah.
Yeah.
12-12. It's 12-12.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's
I got
okay.
excited.
You looked over and it was 12-12.
Numbers are real. Yes, absolutely.
You did just makes you wonder, is she still in that house? Does she still reach out to people that she wants to quote unquote help?
No, someone told me the other day that she is not in that house.
Oh.
That she had moved into the town of Murray.
Oh.
Yeah.
Beware, Murray. Watch out, everybody in Murray.
Well, like I said, if you haven't heard of them, the vampire cult killers of Murray. Interesting.
And now she lives there.
Murray's got some secrets too, but all of this land was once, well, up around Paris, they have it's actually Dover, Tennessee, the battlegrounds. And then for each wars, you got to look at the people who died. And I mean, anything's possible. If and there's a connection to it all. Or they wouldn't have skinwalkers and cryptids and mothmen and I can't say that word, the calacabra or
chupacabra.
Yes, that one. And if there's any merit to that, what if the curse was towards the people or ethnicity that they felt done them wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And what if a man bred with something that wasn't man? And they created this, or, a species, a hybrid. I think about all kinds of things.
Well, if anybody out there listening, of course, hopefully something prompts you to get in touch with me. Maybe you don't want to come on the show. That's fine. Just get in touch. If you do, even better, because people like Carly here get other people inspired to do such a thing. And that's all we have is just to compare notes, compare the stories,
each other.
compare the data.
That's all we have.
But especially with this black splatter pattern, I
know, and I really can't find anything about it. And that puzzles me. Because everything else, I've eventually found a source of it.
Well, and that's why I'm hoping that I just want to put the call out there. If that jogs anybody's memories, if anyone's seen anything like that, please.
Unless it's like a marker.
So that's what I was saying earlier. That's what I was saying earlier. Is that just they've been marked, or they put the mark there to let other people know.
Oh, somebody's at my door.
Oh, Ruby's had enough. All right. Well, Carly, thank you a million times over.
Thank you, Shannon. No, and thank you, listeners. If you reach out, I plead with you, reach out. I would love to hear it.
Yes, and you and I will be in touch, and we'll be comparing more notes, and especially if somebody gets in touch about the information you've shared. Thank you so much, Carly.